On today's episode, 1SI has a new site, and we'll take a look at 2 system integrators we've never talked about. All that and more on this episode of System Integrators Weekly.
Let's go, nerds!
Hello, everyone. I'm Brea Thorne. Welcome to System Integrators Weekly. I'm on the road to recovery. COVID's finally taking its claws out of me, and I'm finally starting to feel a little bit better. You're going to see a lot more content coming out as I try to catch up with everything I'm behind on. But that's not a concern today. What we're talking about today is, of course, system integrators. These are companies that put PCs together that are either already pre-built or they're custom, then built for you and then sent to you. And of course, if you are keeping up with current PC hardware, there's a lot of new stuff coming out in a month or two. Between now and the end of the year, there's going to be a new platform from AMD, the new 13th gen and Z790 motherboards from Intel, 40 series GPUs from NVIDIA, possibly, maybe late November or so, we might see the first one. And of course, the new 7000 series Radeon GPUs from AMD to go with the 7000 series Ryzen processors coming out mid next month or so. There's a lot of new stuff coming out, so my notes to you are, if you can wait, my suggestion is that maybe you should. Let's see what we have at these 3 system integrators we're going to talk about, and one I've only spoken about once, and the other 2 I have never talked about on the show before. So if you're tired of seeing the same ones over and over, this is the episode for you. And it's going to start after this word from our sponsor, VIP CDK Deals.
CDK Deals is an online marketplace that offers game keys for several different platforms and genuine software licenses at drastically reduced prices. You can even use code BRAE25 to get an additional 30% off. Here's how it works. Here we have an OEM license for Windows 10 Pro. Of course, all Windows 10 Home and Pro keys can be later upgraded to Windows 11 at no charge. Keep in mind that you'll need a new key if you build a new system or make major hardware changes. OEM keys cannot be used to upgrade from Windows 10 Home to Pro, so make sure you know which version you have installed. Here in the cart, you can use code BRAE25 to get an additional 30% off. So an OEM copy of Windows 10 Pro will drop from $22.72 to just $15.90. After your purchase is complete, click View Keys/Codes, click Get the Key, and copy it. Then go to your Windows search bar, type out Activate, and click Activation Settings. My Windows install is already activated, so I'll be replacing it, but yours should just say Activate Windows. Paste in the key, click Activate, and you're done. Thank you, CDK Deals, for continuing to support the channel.
Now, before we get into it, let's talk about a couple quick disclaimers. This video is being filmed for August 8th, 2022. Any pricing and availability that you see in this video, if you're watching it days later, that pricing can already have changed, and availability definitely can change as well. While the market is good, it's still a bit volatile, so, keep an eye out for that. And if you see something here that's no longer there when you go and check it out through the links in the description, well, come to the stream. I'll help you find something else that suits exactly your needs and your budget. I stream every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time over at twitch.tv/BreaThorne. The next thing is you're going to hear a lot of opinions, and that's totally fine. If you disagree, let me know politely in the comments below, or come to the Discord, chat with us about it there. Discord's linked in the description below. It's a great community. Final thing is, if you buy anything, not just PCs, but if you buy anything, you are buying at your own risk. This is not financial advice I'm giving out. I'm not saying, hey, you have to buy this thing. Mostly, I am observing what is out there in the market and giving my feedback, and that's what that is. So sometimes you buy a PC, it gets damaged in shipping or something like that, and then you have to RMA it and it gets fixed up, and then you're good to go. But it's not a fun thing to happen. But just so you know, I genuinely try to just talk about system integrators that I trust. Let's get into it. First off, RGB Custom PC. Now, RGB, I met them at PAX East. They're super cool. I even got to stop by their office and workshop when I was at DreamHack Dallas, which none of that stuff's come out yet except for the first video, so sorry about that. I have the footage now, and I'm going to be getting those videos out soon. And they're super, super nice. Just really genuinely cool people. And they recently completely redesigned their website and changed up their product lineup. So it's going to be like looking at them for the first time again, except going in there knowing that they're great at what they do and genuinely good people. A few things about RGB Custom PCs that they wanted me to impart to you is that first off, they're going to be at TwitchCon, which so am I, so that's kind of cool. Another really cool thing is they recently entered into a partnership with VGMH, that's Veterans Gaming and Mental Health Mission, to help veterans. So they recently partnered up with them to help them out in their mission to help veterans through mental health services. And through gaming. There's nothing about that that I don't like. That's great. They're also a Gamerz Award sponsor for the Rising Streamer category, so they're helping out there too to encourage women in gaming and streaming. So it's just, they just do really cool. They go out of their way. They're not a huge company, and they go out of their way to do really cool stuff, and you know we like that. They are a smaller system integrator, and something that I always try to make sure you guys understand is that if it's a smaller company, generally the prices can be a little bit higher. They're not dealing in as much volume as a company like iBuyPower, who can charge a lot, you know, depending on the system, either a little bit or a lot less. But we're gonna take a look at that directly here. We'll see how it shakes out. Look at this, right here. This is everything right here. Categories: gaming PCs, content creation PCs, esports PCs, and then everything. Or you can just submit a request, which honestly, I've looked at their request form before, and it's, this is actually more like a survey style thing. You go through it one step at a time. So let's customize this one. We're obviously going to upgrade the GPU. A 1650 is really not going to keep up with modern games that well. 1080p low settings, maybe medium settings, yeah, it'll do fine. Especially for esports titles, it'll do just fine in that. So let's choose, say, a 3060 or a 3050. Let's choose a 3050. I can tell you right now that the 3050 is a very solid 1080p gaming card. You'll be able to get higher settings, quite a bit higher settings than on a 1650 rather. Now, if we change this, are we able to switch our platform? Or is this all going to be AMD? We might need to change the motherboard perhaps, or is it just all AMD? This system looks like it's all AMD. I know Zen 3 is very good. It's very good. It's just when 12th gen Intel came out, it surpassed Zen 3, you know, 5000 series Ryzen processors, and that platform. What was supposed to happen was the following December, like a couple months after 12th gen Intel came out, AMD was supposed to release a whole lineup of 3D V-Cache chips, like the 5800X 3D. Instead, they waited until summer to release the 5800X 3D in somewhat limited quantities, and they ignored every other chip. No 5600X 3D, 5900X 3D, 5950X 3D, nothing. Though we were told we were going to get more. In fact, at the keynote for 3D V-Cache, Dr. Lisa Su held up a 5900X 3D, and then she handed it off, and it was never seen again. Going up to B550 should get you availability of Gen 4 M.2 drives. Okay. If you're just getting gaming PC, 16 gigs of RAM is fine for most games. If you're going to play something like Escape from Tarkov or heavily modded Minecraft or Skyrim that are RAM-hungry situations, and you would want to go higher. If you're going to be streaming, go up to 32 gigs of RAM, and you would do that right here. And the drive, I would go up to a 1 terabyte, and that's 40 bucks. That's actually quite good. They use Vetru fans. I've built with these fans. They do just fine. Now, it looks like you can do GPU backplates by V1 Tech, so you can choose any one that you want, and they will install it for you over there at RGB Custom PCs. And the PSU shroud, the LED PSU shroud, same thing. But yeah, that's the whole build, and this one comes out to with a 5600X, which you've seen me do builds with like the 12400 or the 12100. The 5600X can outpace the 12400, 12th gen Intel 12400 in many games. So this is slightly higher than that. Plus you have Wi-Fi included, all that, and it is a smaller form factor PC, which sometimes things can cost a little bit more whenever you're going smaller form factor. But yeah, you're looking at 1500 bucks right there. Let's take a look at a higher end one with the Ice Maiden here. This is a really popular one. They do a great job building in the O11 Mini. Okay, then we have an AMD motherboard, AMD B550 with Wi-Fi by default right there. And it's full size. It's not a micro ATX. So same RAM right here, DDR4 3600. This one comes with a 3060 by default. And we can change that to go to something like a 3070. And it's about 250 more. So that makes it 2324 for a 5600X and a 3070. Now this one, we can change it over to 12th gen Intel. Let's do that. 12th gen Intel with a B660 DDR4 motherboard, and it looks like there's no option to get a Z690 with this. That's what I mean. It's a K-SKU processor. You got the 12700K, 12900K, and 12600K with no 12400 or 12600 non-K, which I don't recommend that one anyway. You lose 4 performance cores, not just the ability to overclock. But a 12600K and a B660 motherboard is okay. Even though it can't be overclocked, you're still getting those 4 performance cores. So it's a 10-core CPU. You still get that benefit even though you can't do traditional overclocking with it because the motherboard chipset doesn't support it. I would like to see some, you know, they're like something like you work with Gigabyte already. I would recommend the Gigabyte Z690 UD. That's a great Z690 motherboard. It is low priced. It has a ton of I/O. Now, going with a full ATX motherboard is possible, even in the O11 Mini. So it's good that they have that. They didn't force you to go with an M-ATX, which has reduced expandability. But let's take a look at their signature gaming PC. This is the one that they feel is their top offering. Okay, this one right off the bat, it is $3,000, but it starts right off with a 12900K. And for the GPU, it's a 3070 Ti. I would probably put this a little higher. Like going up to the 3080 gets you that bundle, so I'd select that. Now this comes with 32 gigs in 4x8 sticks, 4 8-gig sticks of RAM. I'm wondering if you can get there's no option to get like two 16-gig sticks to make 32 gigs. With this right here, you're gonna be locked in at 32 gigs because there won't be any slots open for adding in any more memory, another kit. So I would say if it's gonna be your top of the line PC, maybe switch this out for 2x16. The cooler is great. You got a Corsair iQ H150i Elite Capellix. That is a premium cooler. So if we change this to a white build, there is no extra cost. Bam, done. You can even do it with the RAM. There you go. Good to go. Now there also does not seem to be a DDR5 option. So that's something to keep in mind. For your storage, you're getting a Western Digital Black Gaming SN750. I would like to see DDR5 as an option though. And honestly, at around this price range, with DDR5 starting to become more, you know, a little bit more price friendly, I'd like to see this system switch over to DDR5, personally. It's just my notes there. And I know RGB Custom PC, they appreciate honesty. If I get any notes back on that, I'll include them right here. We do have an incoming coupon code with them. And what you'll want to do is join the Discord with the link in the description below and go to the coupon codes channel. We might even have that code already. I'll say something right here if that's the case, which should get you a little discount on any PC off of their site. So keep an eye out for that. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, PCGamerz Hawaii.com. Now, why is that special? It's right there in the name. They are, as far as I know, the only system integrator in Hawaii. And this SI started out by being an esports center first. Then when the pandemic hit, they were like, okay, we're being forced to shut down the esports center, the esports compound. Okay, we already build a couple PCs a month. Let's build more. And they became a system integrator that way. There is something, there's going to be an elephant in the room whenever you talk about getting something shipped to you from Hawaii. It's going to be more expensive. Not only that, but components also cost more in Hawaii. So what PCGs did is they went the boutique route, as you can see from this reel that's playing right here. I mean, they've got hardline custom loops with actual bends in them, not just using fittings, and they look really professionally done. And when you've got someone looking for a boutique system, price isn't as much of an issue. It's more about the quality that you're getting. So in this case, yeah, maybe outsource it to Hawaii. On the main page, you've already going to have some builds here. Now, they do have systems that are entry-level systems, but they're going to be more expensive by default. So here, you've got a system that is a 12100F and a 3050 for $1499. Now, that's not, again, it's not overkill levels of price when it comes to how much is added onto it, but it is more expensive than buying it from a system integrator here. Then you've got the next one up is a Dagger. That one actually is in the G360A case, which is really new from Fantex. And it's got a 3060 or 3060 Ti with a Ryzen 5 CPU or Intel Core i5. This is a high-end system right here that can get either a Ryzen 7 or a i7 processor, 12700KF. And then you can get it with an XC3 or for the Win3 3080. But yeah, it includes a sensor panel here. And this is also with a 12 gig XC3. So that's not a 10 gig 3080. That's a more expensive version right there. But it is $3199. There's more here actually. I should have kept scrolling. These are starting to get real interesting. Like this one's 6K with hardline custom loop, 5950X on a B550 Creator, Asus ProArt Creator board. 32 gigs of 4,000 megatransfers per second RAM, C16. Wow. I would probably bring that down to 3600 just to get that one-to-one synchronization. Some AMD processors will work just fine doing 2000 megahertz on the memory controller, but Generally, 1800 is really, really solid, and it's kind of the sweet spot. So I would probably do that myself. But 3080 Ti for the Win 3 Hydro Copper. So this is liquid cooled on the GPU and the CPU. But yeah, look at that build. That's freaking gorgeous, dude. Oh, that's the Antec Torque. This is the Antec Torque. This is an expensive case. This is like a $300 case, 250 bucks, something like more. Like, yeah, about 300 bucks. And they got the Fantex T30 fans. These aren't your run-of-the-mill fans. They're 30 millimeters in depth. So they move more air. They're really high performance fans. 980 Pro 2 terabyte. Like, there are zero corners cut. There's like, this is a no compromise system. Certain applications will still benefit from the 5950X over a 12900K just because of the larger number of performance cores. And if you're looking for a system like that, geez, this thing is crazy high performance. Now, one thing to consider if you're getting a hardline custom loop is that it requires maintenance. Depending on the liquid that you put in there, especially if it's an opaque liquid, if it's an opaque liquid, like with the sparkles in it and stuff like that, you'd need to replace it, flush it out more frequently. Every 6 months or so is a safe bet. If it's clear liquid, you can go up to a year without replacing it. I still say 8 months or so, but still, it's not as hard as it sounds, especially if they create the loop efficiently to have a drain and fill ports where it's convenient to do so. It's just something that you have to be okay with doing. There's probably about $1,500 in liquid cooling parts here, plus the labor that goes into making all of these bends. All of this right here, this is intensive, detailed work. And the case being 350 bucks, something like that. The RAM being very high frequency, very low latency. This is an insane build. Like, I gotta show respect because of some of the choices made here. And it just keeps going. It keeps going with a lot of these custom builds. Like, this is a build that is done in the 011 Evo that is actually reversed. Very few SIs will actually reverse this case, but it's built in reverse. That's one of the cool things about the Evo. If you need to put your PC on the left side, but you still want to see all that RGB goodness and everything, you need the Evo. Like, that's one of the cases that'll allow for it. And it's another 5950X. If you want 12900K, go for this build right here. It's already built, ready to go. 12900KF, RG Strix Z690A, gaming Wi-Fi, so it's DDR4. I don't think I've seen any builds here with DDR5 because at this price, like at those really high price points, DDR5 can make sense. The price increase over DDR4 becomes a drop in the bucket for the performance gains that you get. But like, look at the screen mod in this case. This thing is sick. This is a huge screen mod in here that they're running like kind of a Super Mario Brothers clone on or something, but you could show so much system telemetry on there. A lot of sensor stuff on there. And they have a white Strix 3090, which is the unicorn. That's like one of the hardest to get cards, or it was one of the hardest to get cards. And this has the 420 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler, the H170i. I think the thought process here is that, hey, if we're gonna be a little bit more expensive because we're in Hawaii, then let's go just completely nuts on these builds. Let's get the good stuff anyway. Let's just do it that way. And I get, like, I definitely like that. 980 Pro, Samsung 980 Pro 2 terabyte, like, that's a great drive. That's not cheap. They're not cheaping out on anything. So if that's something that's important to you, if you're like, oh, system integrators do this and that, and they cut corners on the motherboard, and they do this and that, well, here you go. Here's a great option for that. You just need to get it shipped from Hawaii. No big deal. Because they do it. They'll do it. Now let's try looking at custom systems. Let's see what the customizer is like. Custom PC Builder. Okay, so this is a completely open-ended builder. You can actually choose, it looks like it is, you choose whatever case, whatever CPU, motherboard, all that stuff that you want. So that's something you have seen at some other sites, but yeah, so like starting with the G360A, how are these different? I don't actually know why there's two of them there, but yeah, go to G360A. If you're trying to do a more budget-oriented build and you want a white build, this is a great case for that because they white out like everything. It's really good. You also get small form factor with the great Lean Q58W3. That's an awesome case for small form factor. There's the new IQ5000T from Corsair. I'm going to show you the prices of these cases as well, which the prices are going to be higher than if you bought them here because they had to have them shipped out to them. In fact, case prices have gone up in the US because of the price of even getting them shipped here to the mainland. So like, it's not going to be any better over there. In fact, it'll be worse. 011 Evo, they have some awesome choices of cases here. So we can just load more instead of continuing on. There's a 5000T again for the same price. That's confusing. That's just a little bit of redundancy. There's the Q58 again. Oh, 11 Evo again. I think it just reloaded it. So the Fractal Torrent Compact, the Nano, and then the full-sized Fractal Torrent. So they have very good taste. The Be Quiet Silent Bass 802, for those who want high performance and also need a quiet system. You can't run it both ways at the same time, but the Silent Bass 802 is an expensive case in its way, but it also has a sound-treated front panel that you can put over the mesh, and it still has mesh on the sides. So if you need, say if you're doing voiceover work, and you need to record like a 20-minute thing, you put the front cover on, you do your work, and then you take it right off, and then you're back to high performance. So yeah, basically you pick your case, and you pick your parts. It's gonna be fairly self-explanatory. Like let's just pick the Lencool 2 mesh, and then you pick your CPU. You got 12th gen Intel as options, and you have Ryzen 5000 series. There's a 5800X 3D right there, and several other options. There you go. So you can even go down to the 12400, 12100, say 12700K. Pick your motherboard, how many options they got for this. So then it starts to narrow it down. Once you start picking your platform, it will start to customize what you see after that. So yeah, it looks like we're only gonna be looking at DDR4 for your options for 12th gen Intel, which is a downside because some people go for 12th gen Intel because they have the option to use DDR5. I would say you guys are gonna have to start stocking DDR5 anyway because Zen 4 is DDR5 only. So that's gonna change soon here on the site, I'm sure. But yeah, they have some great options though, like the Strix Z690A DDR4 is a beautiful board. Then yeah, it's gonna be DDR4. But yeah, you follow this process, customize a PC. We're gonna have more from these guys soon, and I'll keep you guys up to date as I hear more from them. But yeah, it was a fun first look at a really, really cool system integrator over there in Hawaii. I suggest going here just to check out the gallery. Good Lord. Now the last one we're gonna look at was suggested by chat. This is gonna be Xotic PC. I've never looked at Xotic PC before. But let's kind of see what they're about. Give them a quick look. I've also never heard from them or anything, so they haven't reached out to me or anything. But I do see they've got hardline custom loops. Looks like fitting style rather than bends, but that's just that build right there. Looks like they have a lot of laptops too. They do a lot of laptops. I guess if you're looking for a gaming laptop, this might be a good option for you. So looking here, Xotic PCs has this thing where they're doing the slideshow. Very common on these sites here. But then you see a few top selling products. And I think I see a system in, what is this? Is this the Lencool 216? The Lencool 216 is a cool looking case, but they downgraded from the 215. They had the 200 millimeter fans in the Lencool 215. Now it's got 160 millimeter fans, unfortunately. Those 200 millimeter fans were epic. But it says it's a G7 Lencool, and I'm not sure if that's just an internal name because I don't think that case is called the G7. I think it's called the Lencool 216. But it looks like you have several options to order with it here, even including X299. But there's Z690 with 12th gen Intel, AMD Ryzen, all built to order, and previous gen. And then they have DDR5 here. So you can go with 12th gen Intel and DDR5, which is what I was looking for before. So that's cool. So I guess you just pick which one you want here and go through the customizer. Let's see what the default options are, because that's honestly, to me, one thing that bugs me a lot when I see SIs do is that they put a price on there to attract you, but when you look at the default options, there is no way you would get it with those options. So let's see what the default options are here. Not much said here, but before you can even add it to cart, you do need to customize it. So let's hit customize and wow, what is all this? Okay, back to school specials. All $0. Free shipping, US lower 48 on all desktops, $2,500 or more. Okay. Free upgrade from 256 gig to 500 gig SSD. Well, gee, thank you. I still recommend 1 terabyte minimum, but okay. Receive a Funko Pop figurine with the purchase of a fan upgrade. All right.
Receive an MSI H991 headset, XPC Mortor mouse, and XPC game controller with the purchase of RX 6600 graphics card. That is very specific.
6600 XT, and then you can get the same thing with a 3090. That's a slight price difference between the AMD and the NVIDIA cards, but okay. Receive an XPC gaming controller with the purchase of any RTX graphics card. Well, that's kind of cool. They have their own controller. And a mouse pad with any 2, 4, or 8 terabyte certified SSD. Waves Raptor headset with an AIO cooling upgrade. How many headsets do people need? Receive and Waves, probably a Waves Raptor headset, an XPC hard shell backpack with purchase of custom water cooling upgrade. Okay, well, all right. Let me get another mouse pad.
Guys, listen, Xotic. This is not the first thing anyone needs to see. This is overwhelming. The specs come first. This stuff can be after, man. That's too much. Here's an idea. Since so many of these have to do with specific components, put it next to the component. Like, this is just overwhelming right here. And I'm not trying to criticize you guys. That's just that I couldn't not say that. That's how strongly I felt about it. Okay, here's another strong feeling. The default GPU is a GT 1030. So that's how you got that price that you showed off in the beginning there, right? Where it's like, hey, this is only $1,200 with DDR5. This is not a gaming card. This is not a graphics card. This is a display adapter, okay? The GT 1030, it gets marketed as a graphics card for gaming. It is hardly that. And in fact, no system integrator needs to be buying these. If you're gonna build some office PCs, go for it. If that's what you're pursuing, but you don't need to have this in your inventory, because all it's allowing you to do, you might have a situation where someone just blindly purchases the PC thinking, that's my gaming PC, I'm gonna get exactly what's in the picture, right? Yes. No, that's not very cool. Get that 1030 out of there. This thing needs to be retired already. I'm tempted to say that I'm not gonna continue looking at Xotic PCs, and I'm not gonna come back until that's gone. Because that can honestly mislead people very easily. Very easily. That they're gonna see this stuff, they're gonna be like, okay, free stuff, all right, add to cart.
Mom, I'm ready. Give me your credit card.
It's not very cool. Let's put a reasonable GPU in here. Like, one of my favorites, a 3060 Ti, all right? And it's a 12100, so let's say 12600K. This is with DDR5. That's actually quite good. But we gotta see where else we have to improve things, because I'm not gonna trust any default settings on this system. So MSI Pro Z690A, and then there's the one with Wi-Fi, which is, so you have to spend $300 to get Wi-Fi. And 650 watt power supply is a decent start. Like that right there as being your minimum, okay, I can deal with that. I'd push it up to 750 watts because we have 12th gen Intel, turboing all day long. The 3060 Ti should be fine on 650 watts, but like, you know, doesn't hurt to add a little extra. And we're looking at 32 gigs DDR5 4800, so that is like baseline DDR5. Every option higher than that is either double the amount of RAM, which most people don't need, but then you go up to the 5600 megahertz, but it is Corsair Dominator Platinum. That is the only kind of upgrade you can make, other than G-Skill Trident. Yeah, it's $379, but then you get 6600 megahertz. Hang on a second, what's the cast latency? What's our timings? I guess we can just look up the model, but that's a lot of money for just another 30, for the exact same capacity, but way faster, unless you really want the fastest you can get. The thing is that RAM QVL to this motherboard here? Is it on the QVL list for the MSI Pro Z690A? So basically you just go to G-Skill and their configurator, you put in your motherboard model. All right, DDR5, Z690, there we go, Z690A, there we go. Wait, is it, yeah, Pro Z690A. Got it. Now we will see what RAM is compatible with it. I'd be impressed if the 6600 is compatible with an entry-level MSI Z690. Okay, let's look for our speed. Actually, is it not listed here? Are y'all sure about those specs? Because the 6600 isn't even listed as an option here. Well, I guess it maxes out at 6400. Because it's not even a listed option for tested speeds. So, yeah, that RAM's not gonna work with this motherboard. Yet I can go in your configurator and just select it, wherever that was. However, there's also ASUS motherboards as well as options. And if you get the ROG Maximus, I believe it is on the QVL list for that. And it might be for the MPG Carbon. I'm not gonna check all that right now. I just know that if you have an option that doesn't work together, it is not compatible, it shouldn't be able to be selected. Just something to look out for, guys. Now, you get a 500 gig Xotic PC certified NVMe SSD Gen 3. Now, some companies do this, where they have their own branded storage or RAM or things like that. However, I mean, it says Gen 3, but we don't actually know the read-write speeds for this. If you go look at, say, Ironside Computers and you pick the Ironside M.2 drive, you will see read-write speeds if you click the information button. And the cheapest Gen 4 is another Xotic one, and that's $79 more. Yeah, it's a little overpriced. What I would do is I would just get a pretty standard, at least 1 terabyte Gen 3. I don't know the speeds on this. But that is $59 more than a 500 gig. I'd say that's pretty fair. And then add storage yourself later on. It's super cheap, super easy to do. You can add more storage drives of these different categories, so that's good. Expandable storage with a lot of different form factors is really nice to have. So you got air, closed loop, and frostbite cooling, which I imagine is their custom loop liquid cooling. So that starts, if you love that, if you love that look of the liquid cooling with the hardline tubes, $449 is your starting point. That's definitely fair. That should cover the CPU only. And then going up to, no, their pricing on their custom loops, totally fine. This totally makes sense. So if you do stage 1 with the H2O CPU, EK blocks, barter fans, they're actually telling you what they're using. $849. Now that has to include labor. I mean, unless that's separately charged. And then if you do, let's see, CPU and GPU with bits power fittings, $1349. Yeah, I priced out an all EK loop for my setup here, and it was like $1,500. So this is very fair. Okay, and then we have custom modifications like exterior paint, UV printing options, custom vinyl wraps, and then laser etching for the glass. Now, what do we got for packaging? Custom formed and injected foam premium white glove packaging default, all right? Custom fabricated desktop wood crate and a palletized shipping. So you get an actual pallet brought to your house for $350. But you have a truck come in, you know, and like forklift it down into your driveway, all right? Like you gotta be prepared for this. It's probably a whole thing. Okay, warranty and support. Lifetime US-based support and lifetime free labor. Oh, lifetime labor. Complete care parts. Don't know what that means. So is this free labor, lifetime free labor, and lifetime complete care parts? I don't know what that means. What is complete care? Is it parts and labor lifetime or not? So lifetime labor is very good. The same thing like Main Gear does. Now they do give you a 30-day shipping warranty, I can say that. And that is where they'll pay for shipping back to them if you have a problem within the first month, as they should pay for that. So I don't know, I'm gonna actually, I don't know, I don't really reach out to system integrators, they usually reach out to me. I will say this, I had some positive and negative impressions of Xotic PC based on what I saw. I don't feel very comfortable recommending them as long as they have a GT 1030 as a default option someone might accidentally buy. There wasn't a whole, I mean, there's probably a lot of stuff I did not see, but I'm gonna call it there. Like that's enough for me. That there's stuff like that bothers me enough to where I'm like, all right, we're good for now. But I don't know, if you liked what you saw, sure, go for it. I mean, just make sure you don't accidentally buy a display adapter instead of a gaming graphics card. That's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys for hanging out. I was recording this live, so chat's been very patient with me. Thank you very much, guys. And I will see you guys in the next video. And come hang out on stream every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, take care.